big welcome, everybody, to another episode of Mighty Monday. This is your host, Mae Renfroe, and just welcome to this episode of Mighty Monday, where we always have amazing guests on with amazing stories and testimonies of what God's done in their life. And sometimes they are a difficult story. And that is with tonight with my guest, Heather Fitting, that her life changed on January 13th of 2024 when her 21-year-old niece passed away in a car accident when a driver hit their car on the highway going the wrong way, and that rocked her family to the core. But through the next year, she felt the calling of God on her life to start writing children's books. And so from this very tragic, very hard thing, God has brought peace and a purpose. So I'm excited about my guest sharing that tonight. So Heather, just a big welcome to Mighty Monday. I'm excited about having you.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited too.
Yeah, and it's not easy. You have a hard story, but it's one of but God, right? But God, I love these stories. But God shows up.
Wrap it up.
And when He is with us, it just changes everything, right? It changes these hard stories into something beautiful. Something beautiful can come from it. I mean, it's so hard. You're missing your niece, and your family is missing their daughter. But God still works something out. So I'm anxious for you to share that. So however you want to, share more about yourself or get into your story.
Well, one of the biggest backstories of my life before this tragic event happened was that I was a lukewarm Christian for pretty much my entire life, since 14, I guess. So I went in and out of the church, in and out of relationships, and I basically just believed in God, but I didn't let God change any part of my life outwardly. Like they say, do you see any fruit? I didn't have any fruit for my whole life. But in my family, I was considered like the Christian. My sister, my niece's mom, was an atheist her whole life. She would always pose the questions of like, well, if God made the earth, where did he stand? And I would just be like, I have no idea, but I know there's a God. I don't know. So, interestingly enough, when Chloe passed away, she became a believer. And it changed her life so much so that she could definitively say, like, I know that Chloe is with God. And I don't know how I know that. I just know that. And it kind of brought back all of my feelings of like when we were younger, and I'd be like, well, I don't know where he stood, if he had to even stand, but I just know there is. And sometimes when you don't have an experience that gives you that feeling, you just doubt it your whole life, and you become a non-believer just because of it. Yeah. And so a lot of people that go through tragic events run from God. And my sister and many people in my family was moved by the experience to God, which is odd. A lot of people hold anger and resentment. And I feel like one of the biggest things that my sister had was peace, strangely enough, which in our worldly bodies and our worldly thinking, that doesn't make sense. Like, you're 21, your oldest daughter, just out working, never drank in her life, and she was 21, and she was robbed. That's what a lot of people feel. Like, we were robbed. Her life was robbed from her from a stupid event that could have been prevented. And so the peace and the the understanding that she knew that she would see her again was overwhelming and moving for our whole family. Um,
Wow.
right. It was just, it really, you could see it. You could see that there was something happening. Like, what is happening? Like, and I instantly started feeling like I had this, like God was like calling me. Like he was like, I kept getting be the light, be the light, be the light over and over again. Um, I had experiences and I just really dove into the word. And I was a lukewarm Christian that never read the Bible. Like that's how lukewarm I was. I just
Okay.
believed in
Oh,
God. I mean, that's it.
wow.
That's the extent of it. I did over the years had gone to churches, but I had never let any of it sink in to the point where it was fruit in my life. It was I didn't read the Bible. I didn't pray consistently or even like regularly. So it was a big change for me in my life. I felt like, oddly enough, I felt like I just became a believer because my
Mhm.
lukewarmness before did not feel anything like this felt. Um,
Oh,
so
yeah,
it
for
felt
sure.
different. It felt different for
Wow.
sure. And so over the year after she passed, I just felt um, a really strong calling to get into some sort of ministry, some sort of um, I knew that I had plans. I didn't know what they were, but I knew I could almost tangibly feel that God had plans for me. It was weird because I was
Mhm.
just for years I've just been a stay-at-home mom. I homeschool my kids, so I just dabbled in regular like jobs here and there just to make a little money on shifts that they were sleeping. You know what I mean? Like I just did life. I didn't have a career. I didn't have any kind of motivation or calling. In 2021, I got COVID and I got long COVID. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's basically like these like um, major medical effects on your body from the spike protein, just like kind of like wrecked my body and I had an autoimmune reaction to it. And I actually was diagnosed with narcolepsy and fibromyalgia and long COVID. And
Oh, wow.
so moving into 2024, I had some rough years that I was like barely surviving. Like when I say I would wake up in the morning and it didn't feel like I slept at all the night before, that was on for months and months until I finally got medicated at night. But then it was a medication that's very dangerous and like not something that you really want to be on. So I had this like feeling of like, okay, so I'm technically sleeping at night now and I'm technically able to stay awake because of all this medicine in the daytime, but I don't really feel like I'm alive. Um, it's like a forced feeling.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
I don't know if you've ever known anybody with narcolepsy, but basically your sleep wake cycle gets completely out of whack. I had insomnia till 5 a.m. and then I couldn't stay awake all day. With little kids, that's not good. Like
No, it's not
was
working too good.
it was not a good life. It was just not a good life, and I was struggling. I was at the pits of desperation. A lot of that time before this happened. So basically, January of 2025, which was almost a year of her passing, God like literally downloaded that I this idea for this children's book to dedicate to Chloe.
Mhm.
And I had never to just paint the picture a little bit. I'm like the narcolepsy woman that like can barely stay awake and has no motivation to do anything in life. I had just come off of a year of like diving into the Bible and having all these weird things start happening to me where I had motivation and I did want to do things. And I'm just like, this is weird. Like, normally I just lay on the couch and just, watch the kids play or something. But I really had that calling that year. And when he gave me the idea for the children's book in early January, it was like January 3rd. And her anniversary date for a year being passed away was the 13th. And so I was 10 days out. And when I tell you, I prayed to him. Now I was still what I consider a baby Christian. I call it myself a baby Christian that year. I just basically told God, like, look, I don't know how to write a children's book, and I don't even like to read.
Yeah,
as an adult, I actually never finished a book as an adult. Like I don't really like to read. I was the kid that was in school that was reading paragraphs ahead so that if they called on me, I would like know what the words were and wouldn't be stumbling over them and be made fun of. I was that kid. So reading was just not my forte at all. And so I told him, I prayed to him and I said, okay, you gave me this idea and that's great. Thanks for the idea. Because I didn't have that, but thanks. But I don't know how to do any of this. So if you could just do this through me, like just take over. I'm giving you permission to take over and do this because I'm telling you right now, I can't and I need your help. I don't really even care if I sell one book. I just want this to come to tuition because this is what you gave me. I know I'm supposed to do it. I just don't know how. And when I tell you that the book was published on January 13th, 10 days later, it's not a lie. I'm just like,
okay, so how did that happen?
He just did it. Like I literally don't really even remember the 10 days. I just everything came so easy and so effortless. I didn't even do it.
Wow.
It honestly, like when people are like, "Oh, you're an author," I honestly have to like convince my brain to say, "Oh, yeah, I am," because inside I'm like, actually, God just did it, and I just am the vessel because I really don't feel like I can even take credit. I really don't. I feel like I'm not supposed to be even getting credit for this. But I guess because I'm the one that just said like, okay, then I guess I am the author technically. But it doesn't feel like it to me. Like it feels like a team. It feels like I'm gonna wake up and I'm still gonna have like all these things that was before. And so while all this was happening, the church that I had gone to the November before that was having a prayer and fasting 3-week challenge for the people that we didn't know yet because we were moving to 3 services at our church. So we were praying for the people to come as we expanded. So we were just praying for the people of York. And we were doing this fasting and I was like, I had gone back to the prayer room of our church all of 2024 to get prayed for my niece passing, to get prayed for narcolepsy, to get prayed for fibromyalgia and long COVID and all of the problems that was going on. I kept going back to the prayer room, and while I did feel better and good, like they were uplifting, I never had healing. So I dove deep into healing that year, and I found a sermon that Joseph Prince did that was on communion and the healing power of communion. And I was like blown away. I'm like, wait, what? Like, I didn't know that like communion had healing properties. I thought it was just for sins. And of course, I'm a baby Christian, so I'm just like, I have no idea. Like, I'm just doing the communion in church with everybody else. And during that 3-week challenge of fasting and prayer for the people of York, I decided I was going to do a 3-week challenge of daily communion with the Lord. And I was going to ask him for healing. And I prayed again to God. Like, I'm a deal maker with God. I'm like, okay, here's the deal, God. Here's the deal. I have narcolepsy, I have fibromyalgia, I have long COVID, and these are big things. These are things they've told me I would have about the rest of my life. I now, after listening to Joseph Prince, I know that you want me healed. So I need you to help me step out of the way so that you can heal me, because obviously it's on my belief on the fact if I'm actually getting healed or not. I said, so is there any way that you can like move me out of the way so I can actually receive your blessing? Because I feel like I'm hindering myself. And so I started doing daily communion, and I started it just like we did it in church. And a couple days in, it changed. Um, and I realized he gave me the actual epiphany of what changed and why it changed while I was doing it. And that was a game changer for me. Um, because in church, I would say in my mind as I was taking the bread and the juice, thank you for dying for our sins, and our meaning the Christian body, the bride, right? Thank you for dying for us. But I would actually pluck myself out of that because I didn't actually feel worthy enough to be in that. And that wasn't something I like did like knowingly. That's just what I had the epiphany of once he showed me that, hey, the reason that you're not getting healing is because you don't even actually feel worthy of it. And I was like shook. I was like, you're right. I don't feel worthy enough.
Wow.
And so then I just like let it all go. It was a rough day, obviously, you know. Um when you have moments like that with the Lord where he shows you something that you're actually not really cognitively understanding at the time. Like, I didn't understand that I wasn't worthy. I just felt that inside. And it was hindering me from even having a personal relationship with Jesus, to the fact that, like, when I took the bread and juice in church, it didn't really mean anything. It just didn't. It didn't like shake my heart like it should. It didn't. Like, I wasn't the audience of one there as he stood, or that as I stood in front of him hanging on the cross. That wasn't ever in my mind. But when I started doing it at home, and I started doing it every morning, the first thing I would do, my feet would hit the ground and I would go right to the kitchen and take daily communion. And that um that put into action the relationship that I have with Jesus today. And I've never stopped, because in the Bible it says, "Do this as often as you remember what I've done for you." And I've had people tell me that their church does it once every 5 years, and it is what it is. Our cultures have like done that, but the very first thing that I do in the morning is daily communion, and it literally has changed my life, to the fact that when you wake up and you remember that somebody died for you, and you actually put yourself there at at the scene, him hanging on the cross, and you're the only one that he's hanging up there for, and you're thankful from the bottom of your heart that he did this for you, not for everybody, and then pluck yourself out.
Mhm.
It changes how you go out throughout your day. It changes how you treat people. It changes how you deal with your kids. It changes
Mhm.
everything because you start your day out realizing that somebody else died for you to have life forever.
Wow.
It's hard to it's hard to actually like realize what that is unless you're actually
Mhm.
in it and getting emotional with it every day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's an important thing. And I had told him, I said, I'll give you 3 weeks to off my medicine. I'm going to go completely off my medicine. And I told him, I know this is going to like rock my world right now because I'm on a lot of medicine and I'm going to like withdraw from
Mhm.
them. I was on Adderall. I was on 12-hour stimulants. I was on the nighttime medicine. I was on Lyrica, like just a laundry list of medicine. And I just stopped everything. And I said, you have 3 weeks. And if I'm not healed, completely, completely, not just like a little, oh, I think I feel better. No, I'm talking like you're going to have to like show up big. If I'm not healed completely by the end of this 3 weeks, I'm going to have to go back on my medicine.
Mhm.
I said, so you got 3 weeks. And week one was absolutely horrible. Of course, I was like coming off all of my meds and
Mhm.
my body was like going through a whole bunch of changes and I was super tired and I was just, it was wreck. And if I wouldn't have promised him those 3 weeks, I would have went back on my medicine by day 3 because it was rough. By week 2, I was like, I'm like kind of feeling like I can stay up all day. And like that's not normal. And I can kind of feel like I'm like sleeping good at night.
Oh
That's not
wow.
that's
Yeah,
not
because that
normal.
wasn't normal. That wasn't. Oh.
And by week 3, I literally could profess that I was completely healed from all three things. I had this like weird long COVID um, symptom, and it was so weird. I would get every flare up. They call it a flare up because it's autoimmune, so it goes through these like you have it, you don't, you have it, you don't. It's like up and down. It's like a roller coaster ride. But I would get like these inflamed taste buds on my tongue. And like, have you ever had a white thing on the end of your tongue that hurts really bad? It's just the inflamed taste bud. Um, I would get like 5 or 6 of them in my mouth
Mhm.
during a flare because like that's one of my symptoms that I had.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, like I started my 3 week challenge with 5 or 6 in my mouth, and by the end of the challenge, they were gone and they never came back. Like I'm just like blown away because I'm like, this is like something I would have for a week. It would go away for a couple days and come back. And then it would go away for a week and then it would come back. And like, you're talking like 4 years of this. And they hurt really bad. Like, they were like sore and like painful. And I haven't had one since. And he just literally has continued to work and move in my life in a way that is tangible that everybody can see, which I love. Like, I love that I don't have to like technically explain anything. People are like, something's different. Something's
Mhm.
different with you. Yeah, like my whole life has changed, like for the better. Like, praise God.
Mhm.
Um, but so he healed me from all three of those things. And a lot of people would always ask me, like, well, did you stop taking communion when your 3 weeks was up? I was just like, yeah, no, that's the bread of life. Like Jesus is the bread of
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
I go to that every morning. The first thing I do is I do that because he is my bread. He is the reason I am healed, and I won't stop thanking him for the rest of my life. Like that's the very first thing I do. Thank him
Mhm.
in the morning, every morning. And I feel like, that's one of the reasons that I keep receiving healing. Um, it was funny. My eyes had always been fine. And a little bit before COVID hit, I had just gotten like a pair of prescription glasses that were like the lowest prescription. It wasn't like a big deal. It was just a small like prescription. But I had gotten glasses. Well, then when COVID wrecked my body, my eyesight, and it was because of my brain. It wasn't actually, nothing was wrong with my eyes, but the processing part of my brain, I had like brain fog and like cognitive delay because of long COVID. So my eyesight would get like super super bad, and then like um one day it would be like kind of good, and day it would be like horrible. And it just really depended on how my brain was processing this information that I was seeing. And so I went to the eye doctor and they gave me this prescription. They're like, your eyes got really much worse than before. And I was like, yeah, I have long COVID, and they have no idea what that is at the time. And I'm just like, never mind, just give me my glasses. And they're like, well, you're going to need bifocals. And I was like, what? I was like, bifocals? What am I, like 90? I was like, you're like, are you serious? And they're like, yeah, and your prescription's like 5 prescriptions worse. And I was just like, so I had these glasses, and with long COVID, sometimes those glasses weren't even enough for me to see, right? On some days, it wasn't even enough for me to see. And so after I had my healing, and this has been maybe like a month ago, I was like thinking about my eyes, and I'm like, I wonder why he didn't heal them. I'm a writer now because he gave me my first book, but then he just gave me one after another up to 21. Like it was 21 in 5 months.
Oh my God.
I don't even know what happened. Have no
Wow.
idea. So I'm on my computer a lot, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm writing like a lot of books, right? And my eyes are just like getting worse and worse. And I just kept thinking to myself, not going to him. I just keep thinking to myself, I wonder why my eyes didn't get healed in that process. And I kept thinking that to myself, but I didn't actually go to him and say, hey, what's with my eyes? And so a couple weeks ago, I show up at church, and our church does words of affirmation. I don't know if you've ever been to a church that does that, but like, or not affirmation, words of knowledge. So they pray all week, and they get like information from the Lord on like what he wants to heal in our congregation. So I show up to church, and they say them, and blurry vision is one of them. And I was just like, okay,
Wow.
I see you, Lord. Right? I see
Yeah.
you see me, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the people that I was with, I was like, okay, I'm going back to the prayer room for a minute. And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
And so I go back and I sit down, and it's the girl that prayed for me before and that I had gotten healed and came back and told her, and she was so excited for me. So I'm sitting with her, and I said, I'm here because of the words of knowledge, said blurry vision, and I have blurry vision. I have blurry vision all the time, even with my glasses on. And she said, for some reason, I'm feeling like you feel like you couldn't go to God for that. And I said, okay, I just got the epiphany right now. Like, I wasn't thinking about this, but I just got the epiphany right now that like I didn't go to him because I felt like a brat. Like he just healed me from like major things that I would have had for the rest of my life. And I felt like in my mind, I didn't go to him because I felt like, how dare I go and be like, you missed something. that was my
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
And I said I didn't want to feel like I was like being disrespectful for the things that he did heal. And she said, Heather, you have kids, right? And I said, yeah. And she's like, he's just giving me this right now. I see like a little kid getting a toy on Monday or a slushie or something that makes them so happy. And then on Tuesday, they wake up and they're like, Mom, can we go to the store and get a slushie? And they're just like in this joyful, like excitement because they know you love them and they know that you want them to have what they desire, their heart's desire, right?
Mhm.
And he said, and she said, in that moment, she just heard him say, like, Heather, this is the point. This is what I want you to learn from this. I want you to run to me for everything. You got a headache? I want you to run to me for the headache. You got a stomach ache? I want you to run to me for, instead of running to the medicine cabinets, instead of running to the doctor. There's
Mhm.
things that you do have to go to the doctor for, but for the most part, all the stuff, um, I want you to run to me for the big things, for the financial things, for the um, internal things, like not feeling worthy enough, not feeling good enough for somebody. Like, I want you to run to me for all of the things.
Mhm.
And this was a way that I could teach you that, look, I am here for your abundance. I am literally here for your abundant life. I bring life abundantly. All you have to do is run to me when you need the abundance. And I just was like, my eyes cleared before she even prayed for me. I have not worn my glasses since. And I'm on my computer all the time. And I can
Wow.
see everything. And I'm just like, this is wild. Like, it's crazy. And then the next week, this is going to blow your mind because it blew mine. The very next week, I hurt my knee. I don't know how I hurt my knee, but I hurt my knee where it felt like it was like coming apart when I was walking.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I thought maybe I tore like something, but I didn't really do anything. And I wasn't sure how I hurt it. Well, a couple days had gone by before church and it started feeling better. And it only hurt when I walked up steps, like when I put like the hard pressure on it going up the step, like more pressure on it versus just walking regular. And so I go in and the words of knowledge come up and it says left knee pain only when climbing steps. And I'm just like, okay, okay, okay. I got it. I got it. I'm going. Go back to the prayer room and I said, I'm here because my left knee only hurts when I walk up steps. I heard it a couple days ago and I'm here for healing. And like, I knew he was going to heal that before I even walked back to the prayer room. And again, he was just like, Heather, run to me. Run to me for it all, even the knee pain.
Yeah.
And it's just like he keeps just showing me over and over and over again that he is here for us. He is at our disposal. We just have to come to him,
Mhm. Mhm.
which is so like hard for us to do because we're so worldly with like our thinking of like when something goes wrong, we take it into our own hands.
Yeah.
And from my niece passing to all of the stuff that he's brought me through, there is no part of me that can do my day without him right now. It's
Yeah.
he's just proven over and over and over again to me multiple times that I just need to run to him for everything.
Yeah.
And so it's wild. Um it's overwhelming sometimes. Um but I'm seeing so much good come out of such a horrible tragedy that
Mhm. Mhm.
you can't help but just be thankful that um he works it all for good. I mean, the accident obviously
Yeah.
wasn't good.
Yeah.
Somebody getting behind the wheel and sinning isn't good, but through that we've prayed for her family. We've prayed for her and her family. You know, there's just a lot to all of that. And where you can walk as a family, and I would say probably a good 90% of our family is walking in his in his goodness, in his grace for
Mhm.
for this person, and given us the peace that surpasses all understanding. Like, because that's what a family doesn't have that without God. Because a family should be mad. A family should be, I see them all the time going on social media being like, oh my gosh, guess who this person did? Guess what they did? And they ruined our lives and we'll never be the same. You're right. You should never be the same after something tragic like that. But it should be that God changed your life for the better, not that you are holding so much resentment that you can't even
Mhm.
have and live your life out. Like, she wouldn't want me to be like sulking and like being angry and mad like the rest of my life. That's ruining my
Yeah.
life too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what
For
I mean?
sure.
Like, it's ruining all our lives too if we soak in that sadness and anger and pain and
Yeah.
we don't do something good with it. And I'm so glad that he changed that for the better for our family, because there's so many that don't.
Yeah.
It's sad. And
Yeah. For
it's
sure.
hard. It
Mhm.
doesn't take the hardness of missing her away. It just gives it a different perspective.
Mhm.
I think perspective is probably the hardest thing. Like, you can either be going through something and having it affect you negatively, or you can be going through something and knowing that God is holding you. Those are the
Mhm.
two options, I think. And when you rely on Him to get you through it all, He's going to make things happen,
Mhm.
because you're being obedient to His will and His, like, I always say, like, if I would have decided to write a book, I would have wrote one and patted myself on the back a year being a published author. I would have been like, oh, guess what? I wrote a book, guys. Like, and he was like, no, like, that's not what we're doing here. We're
Mhm.
changing lives here. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna write
Yeah.
you're gonna write one after another. You're just
Mhm.
gonna be obedient, and you're not gonna worry about sales. You're not gonna worry about all that stuff. You're doing this for the kingdom,
Yeah.
not for here. And so
Yeah.
all of the like, just all of the stuff that comes along with
Yeah.
writing a book and needing to get it
Yeah.
out there, this and that.
Yeah.
I the only thing that I want is for people to be changed by it. That's,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, to be changed by them.
Yeah.
All of the
Yeah.
books. So there's no like pressure behind my mind of like, oh, I need to make a sale this week, or like, he does it on his own. He gives me connections that I can't
Mhm.
even understand. Like, I
Mhm.
don't even understand how things happen, and like, all of a sudden there's just people, and like, if it's God's will, he's going to bring the people. I don't have to really do much. Just be
Mhm.
obedient.
Yeah.
So, it's been a wild, now it's 6 months. It's 6 months
Yeah.
since I published my first book, and a year and a half since she passed away.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
It is good. 6 months, 20 books.
21.
Okay, 21 children's books. But how many pages long are these books? What's the average?
My children's pages are like 24 to 36. Um,
Mhm.
and then I have 13 children's books, and I have 8 adult books. He gave me a book on a 30-day challenge, communion challenge.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's like
Okay.
a
Yeah.
devotional to take communion every day, and it has like scripture, and then it has um, a devotional and a prayer, and then a reflection question, and like journaling.
Yeah.
So that's like a devotional that he gave me, and then he also gave me um, a devotional on your identity in Christ.
Okay.
This one is the Daily Communion Challenge. And so it just like kind of goes, it's set up where like um, the devotional and the scriptures on the one side, and then you have like a little checklist and then some journaling on that side.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I color a few coloring books, and then an eternity book that talks about how like as soon as we become believers and born again, that we are building our eternity right here and now. Like we start building our eternity from this point. So what you do here matters. And I feel like all the books that he gave me, I feel like were for me first. Because like I was a lukewarm Christian for my whole life. So I believed back then, but I didn't actually believe. It didn't let him change me. And so it's important for people to realize that like just believing that there is a God is not really enough, because the devil believes there's a God.
Yeah.
But he uses it for evil. So it's important that you realize that you're actually building your eternity like right now. And so that book is really powerful. And then a new believer's guide for like people that just like, because I felt like a lot of churches, especially the ones that I went to over the years, really dropped the ball on new believers and basically explaining to them what happens now. Like I feel like a lot of people just like, okay, I want to go to church. And they get in the church and they're like, okay, I like this church. And then they just come a couple Sundays and they just kind of fall off. And there's no like real like follow up or connection or like, well, no, like now what? Because like I don't know.
Discipleship, maybe is what you're talking about.
What's that?
Like discipleship.
Yeah, like it basically like tells you, okay, you're a believer, now what? Like now what do? I'm a believer. Okay, what's that mean? Like nobody talks about spiritual warfare and how, you know, um the devil's going to be after your soul. If you, especially if you take a step and say, yes, now I believe, I'm a believer. The devil's gonna be like, nah, like I don't want you to be that. And so it just goes through some of the steps that you can take on building community. Community is super important. Like we're not meant to just be down here by ourselves, wandering around, just being believers without having people alongside of us to love and guide us into truth and keep us motivated and all those things. So it's just a really good guide for somebody that like has just recently or has always been a lukewarm Christian like me, but now is like wanting to be serious about it. So yeah, like yeah, every one that he's given to me really was for me first, which I love, because it's like, okay, I know this book is going to be valuable because I actually needed this. And so if you needed it as a new believer or as a lukewarm Christian, then somebody else does. And so I just love that it's my own therapy with him that he's bringing to book form and then helping other people. I love it.
Yeah. Wow. That is neat.
Yeah. So.
Boy, this has been so great. Just your whole story and what God has done. It's just like, wow, right on. That's who our God is and what he does and your journey. And there's so many things that kind of just really spoke to me. Especially about the communion thing and about how you really found your healing in that and how important that is. Because I never really seen, in that. And it was like, oh, wow. So that's what that really like. That's what it's all about with the communion. Wow. And so that is where your healing really happened.
And it really was, it was my inner belief about who I was how my thoughts about myself not feeling worthy enough was actually hindering the blessings that he had for me. Because he can't give you something if your heart isn't postured to actually even receive it. And I thought about that whole year when I went back to the prayer room. I had so much fear wrapped around what if he would heal me and I wouldn't need my medicine. Like, I had fear about that. Like,
Oh, well.
well, what would that look like if I didn't take my medicine at night to go to sleep?
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, like when you're in it and you're so dependent on a medicine for some sort of life, and now that I look back on it, I can see hindsight is 50-50, but I can see that like I was afraid to not need something to get me through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because
Hmm.
I doubted whether or not I was even worthy of the healing that he had for me. And so that can only be worked out with a really personal relationship with Christ where he tells you, you are the one that I left the 99 to go get.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to feel worthy enough for him to be running after you being that one. And I never felt that. I never. There were so many insecurities and self doubt and self hatred, really, from like my past and just
Mm-hmm.
the things that I dealt with in my life. And he he didn't only heal me from the tangible like physical things. He healed my
Mm-hmm.
like heart and my mind around who he made me to be. And that's actually more powerful than the actual physical healing. I know it doesn't seem like it, but
Mm-hmm.
in my soul and in my body, the healing around my mind and what I think about myself is more valuable than not having narcolepsy.
Oh,
And
sure.
narcolepsy is horrible. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
big thing when you can actually like know who you are in Christ.
Yeah.
Your identity. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
big.
it's been wild.
Wow. It has in the last, like, because, wow, and it's only been a year, over a year and a half since losing your niece. Is that correct? It'll be
Hmm.
2 years this coming January. Okay. So about a year and a half, and then only about 6 months for the 20 books. That's
Right.
all God.
It,
Wow. I just like that. So much
right.
has
Like
happened in that bit of time that you would have never believed. Like all the healing and the books and what God has done from that time. And wow, that's big. Your all right. So your
what?
niece's mom, what your sister
Yeah, my
was
sister.
it
Yeah.
had been eight? Okay, was an atheist up till the time she lost her daughter.
Yep.
So that turnaround happened directly after.
Directly after.
Wow.
And me really didn't have a really great relationship. You know, I was always the so-called Christian, and she obviously was not a believer. And um, I remember right after she passed, I think it was a few days later, I went down and she took me up into Chloe's room, and we bonded in a way that I had never bonded with her. And we're only 16 months apart, so we're very close in age. We should be close. But we were so different. Like she was really smart and I was just like she's a chemical engineer, so she has a science mind and like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
like book smart, and I was just kind of like, no, that's not me. So when when we started, she was vulnerable. I guess that maybe is the word that I can use. After Chloe passed, she was vulnerable in knowing that she needed her family, which was always like arm's distance before. Like
Mhm.
I don't really need I don't really need help.
Mhm.
In that, she knew that she needed all of us to get through it. And there was such a vulnerability there that allowed us to heal from so many years of trauma. Um,
Mhm.
and it's not it's not odd that we heal the most at our lowest because that's when we realize we need God majorly.
Yeah.
So it's not odd that we heal when we're at our lowest of lows, but it's weird because you don't, the earthly mind doesn't think that you would heal when something like horrible happens. You're like, why would I be healing right now? But it does because you're
Yeah.
at the lowest of
Wow. Yeah.
lows. You're
Yeah.
you're you're at the bottom of the pit,
Yeah.
and all you can do is ask for God to help you through it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so when you humble yourself and you humble your heart and you turn to him, a whole bunch of healing ends up happening. And then people around you are like, okay, your daughter just passed away. Why are you so like, why are you seeming so like at peace? And it's because of that. Like all those years, there was no, I need you, God.
Mhm.
There was never that. And then at her lowest of lows, God showed up and she reached out, and the healing that happened in that moment in the weeks after was just huge. It was a lifetime of healing in 1 week, or two. And it was, that kind of stuff. You can't, there's nothing else to explain it off other than God's peace and his love
Yeah.
entered her life. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Peace, peace and love from God entered her life at that moment.
That moment.
Right. It's a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah. That would have been wow. Wow. A miracle. So I hope those anyone watching this would realize how much they need Jesus and that personal relationship. Because, like for you, you had been walking the kind of you said so-called Christian life and had been, but then that's where you really like, hey, this I don't have the relationship, right? That these two different something really come alive for you,
Right.
and and then and that's when the Lord's cried out to God and he met her there. So I just hope people just really get that God is just waiting. He has his arms open wide, but he's waiting. We've got to realize our need for him and seek him. Yeah. Oh. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
I've never heard a story quite like I've never heard a story with such a turnaround for your sister and such amazing healing like this. That is amazing. But that is who our God is. So
Right. Right.
thank you so much for
Really
sharing all
appreciate
that.
it on.
Yeah, yeah. Is there any kind of last thing you would like to kind of just let our your
Yeah.
first set? Yeah, I always love to ask what is that verse that really has spoken to you and helped you at that time. This is amazing
So
because that's how what God does.
yes. So Philippians 4:7 is the peace of God which surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. And that's just so true. It guards our hearts and minds in a way that we don't understand it. And so I love that verse because that's what he did. He
Yeah,
guarded our minds and our
yeah,
hearts so that we could hold it together and still find peace and love to share with others, like through it. It's only him. And then Matthew 5:16 is in the same way, let your light shine before others that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. And that's just my first the book that I dedicated to her is called The Golden Lantern, and it's all about a boy finding God's light and shining it for everybody else to see. And
yeah.
that's been just kind of my purpose behind all of the books. Like, I just want to shine God's light through
Mhm.
me so that other people may get the light.
Mhm.
And that's like if you live by just that, like, all good deeds can just be gone as long as you shine your light. Like,
Yeah.
that's the top one. Love others. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's my favorite verse as far as like what he's doing in my life right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So love it.
Well, I have seen this light. You, the light. I've been the light tonight on Mighty Monday. I've been the
Yeah.
light. And so, yeah. Yeah. So, I hope everyone have a good week. So, I appreciate it. Would you kind of like to close with some prayer? I don't always ask them. I just feel it was something. Which could you pray for those that are listening? And
Absolutely.
okay.
Lord, thank
Great.
you so much for this time on here. And I just pray that everyone that is listening and everyone that will listen to this tangibly feels your light soaking in to them. And I pray that anyone that watches this really gets touched by your love, just like you touched our lives in my family. I pray for peace that surpasses all understanding for people that are going through hard things. Lord, you have taken my family through the hard things with such grace and love, and I just hope that other people can feel that instead of the anger, instead of the worldly feelings they feel about what happened. Um, you just put your peace on them and let them know that it will all be good. That you will turn it all for good, and you will have purpose through the pain, and that something will magically happen out of this tragedy. I just pray for everyone going through hard times, and I just pray that they have your peace. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Well, thank you so much for that prayer. Thank you. And just all the best. God can do in your life, writing those books and all. And would you continue to share your story? Thank you so much. Amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Take care. Everyone have a really good week. Be back here next Monday. Oh, Lord willing. Okay. Take care.
Bye.